This one's rather simplistic, since I'm recording this. The 285 offset sine wave, as it goes to wherever it's going to in an AC system during a DC and AC phasing, this is what this really kind of is, as I was talking about in one of my other videos. It just happened to work with an explanation of Fort 9's 285 crankshaft. Okay? But for the offset. But what it means is there's a top, there's a bottom, there's a center, and the electromagnetic, okay, happens to cause it to curve and then pop back through, being less resistive, but not really. It creates a spin to a large amount of numbers of electrons in their orbit with inside of the AC that you're using for the volts and amps that you have. Now, the only reason why I'm talking about this is because people would assume that it's just because you saw this on the video, and here's the crank. It would have been better if it was 270 because this guy is like that has nothing to fucking do with electricity. It's just the right number. It's just the right offset, you know. And I'm getting pissed off about listening to people that don't know jack shit about anything. It effectively allows for it to, during its direct current phase, meaning it's just going from one point A to one point B. That's all it's doing, right? Of course, then it'll switch to the AC, right? Right. The 285 allows for it to effectively go and slip underneath as the wave. That's the sine wave. That's offset, that'll slip in. And so as you see them crisscross, at certain points, right? What you don't notice is that there's a Z, and if you move this over that graph, right, it's a flat, you're just going to look at it, but there's like, move it over, then you'll notice that there's actually a slight curve to that. That is now it is a diagonal because it's 285. Then it happens to have a wrapping around electromagnetic current that happens to phase into the sine wave current for the AC. But you'd have to actually know a thing or two about any kind of electromagnetic and electrical engineering processes, which you probably don't. I don't even have the background, but it wouldn't matter. I'm still smarter than you, which is probably what annoys the shit out of you. It's like, no, I can just see this. I don't even need to do what you do. That's the difference between me and you, right? But is that here's an explanation. Which I forget what that video was. Give me a second. I'm gonna pause this. I've done this actually a few times, so this one's gonna be hard. um, there's a few of them actually. I can. There's the better renewables, which would that's what that one was. Most likely the most recent one. That was like 2 weeks ago. I pitched it to the STEM community here on YouTube for actually solving our crisis. Better renewables through my designs. So there's that one, which nobody has watched yet. So there's that. But then I posted it, and whatever it is in terms of like on a website, they can have it in the website player. Then apparently it doesn't count. So that's something. But anyways, yeah, it's a way. I don't have to download it, but I'm allowed to like watch it here, and I have those metrics, behind the scenes, says YouTube. But then I'm not gonna like say that you got it watched. So it's like, thanks, YouTube. Appreciate that. Anyways, let's see here. I'm kind of bored. So, point is, it's a way to effectively use a type of phasing to allow for charge differences in our air for the renewables to effectively capture far more of the electricity in a given area. See that curvature of electromagnetics? during charge differences with the right materials, it makes it such that I'm able to effectively take static charge, but also in a electron redox flow type situation for carbon and oxygen along with hydrogen in our air and produce electricity. So that's what that was about. But that's because they're attached to big old vacuum airship, windmill things. So there's that, which I've already put on my YouTube channel like fucking I don't even know how many times. But it's a little bit more than you think because like the way it offsets itself, it actually just runs through like the forward current, right? The DC current versus the AC, alternating, right? But people view alternating very differently than I do. It's like it's not really technically alternating. You know what I mean? It's producing an electromagnetic field, meaning I need something, effectively like a negative ground state and it's positive, right? Let's say it was that. It's not, but like let's say it was. Because it's negative and positive, you reverse the two. But like anyways, that means it'll try and suck it back up. That's why alternating current does what it does, and it has flickering lights. This is just a way to get around flickering lights by having a outside and center and then top and bottom for electrons. So that's what that is. But eventually turned into, yeah, no, well, I already know how to make like effectively a near superconductor. It's not a superconductor. It still fucking has resistance and shit, but it can push like X watt hours through fucking tiny little filaments of wire. So it's like, whatever. And I don't even need to cool it or pressurize it. So why wouldn't I do this? I've described that like so many different times on my YouTube channel. It's like in almost every one of my videos that talks about something with electricity or some shit. Not every one, but almost. There's a fuck ton of them. So, I don't know. Pretty bored. Some fucker was harassing me yet again about it because they're stupid. So there's that. It's like, explain this to me. Why? Why should I? This isn't for you. This is for like PhDs to gush over. This has nothing to do with you. You're a layman person. I have no care about you. You need to go through and learn all of that before you'll ever fucking be able to understand most of my videos. Which, by the way, understand most of my videos isn't really true. Most of them do understand what I'm saying. It's just that certain people are actually so dumb that they can't understand it. Like, most people do understand what I'm saying. Because I explain it pretty darn well. But it's like, no, I have got you right here, cornered. We are playing the chess games. We are. It's the 270. Because it, and that's why the phasing with the 270 instead of the 285. Resonant frequencies are incredibly important here. Like you can't just like push something through because you like a certain number, like 270, because it's got the 2 and the 7, and then those are God's numbers, like what you're trying to do. It's like, shut the fuck up. You have to do this. This is what works. Stop it. That's why it's 285. It just happened to work out that Fortnite put a video out, and I was like, oh, I can relate this. You can probably understand how a crankshaft works and how it rotates. And like, if you look at a sine wave, it goes up and down, right? And of course, it is rotating, right? As it goes through an alternating current in a flow state that allows for it to then have that given type of crankshaft weight, counterweight, the electromagnetic field as it goes backwards in an alternating state. Thus, it stores energy, but also allows for that energy to go back, right? Pretty simple stuff. But that's a whole how you have to set it up thing, and I talked about that in there. But it's a Most likely, you probably didn't even bother to try and learn about it. So, because nobody actually watched it, at least on the metrics. But then, I posted it places. So, and I added a bunch of people. They never watched it. So there's that. But it's like that's the thing. It's like, no, no, you're not big. You're so big, and it's like, yeah, no, you're a fucking person that shits and fucking breathes, dude. Shut up. You're not. You're a regular person. Your brand is big, but you're a regular person. You keep forgetting. You're adding the two. But the brand is me. No, it's not. The brand is your identity of what you put out. That's what that is. I don't really give a fuck. You're still a person. Doesn't matter. Break it all down. You're still a regular ass motherfucker. I don't ever see you as above. I don't see anyone as that. You're all the same, just like me. Deal with it. Some of you might be better, might have more pull, whatever, but you're all the same. None of you is bigger or better than anyone else. Just fucking suck it up. But that's the thing with narcissism, and a big industry built upon it. It's like, no, 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 they are though. It's like, no, they're not. Not really. It's not how that works. It's not really how that works. You know what I mean? It's ugh, it's just disgusting. But it's like, no, fucking feed their ego, feed their ego, feed their ego. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You're gonna make so much fucking money. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Great, yay. Super. We got one of these ones. Meanwhile, they're really good at their job, and you can't really. Yeah, fucking great. Fuck. I'm gonna have to deal with this. And why is that related to electron flow? You have a less resistant path doing a comfortable idea in your head called inflated ego. Scratches those itches of, I'm not confident, I'm insecure, maybe it's not that good. You get a hype person, right? Now, what happens when it's alternating? And it's wrong with the resonance frequency. It destructively interferes itself. And that's exactly why we have electromagnetic fields that produce themselves in alternating currents. They have a destructive interference path. That's what you'll end up with. It's like, that's not a good resonance. That's bad. Might technically look like it's, a good kind of path. It seems good. 270, right? It's working, Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Why do you have so many fucking electromagnetic fields? That's a lot of loss. I can make it an AC current that makes no fucking goddamn electromagnetic fields. That's not loss. See what I mean? I don't need loss. That's the point, right? It's like I don't need loss to the electromagnetic field or heat. Although heat will be generated, just FYI. This isn't that one, for what it's worth. And there's a small amount of heat that is made for those other ones, but it's very small. Or it's like 99.99 something percent efficient at transferring electricity somewhere. But of course, it is one of those other things where you do have to like actually have the circuitry to fucking receive that, because otherwise, it's like, yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I can't do jack shit with whatever the fuck this is. Yeah, like, yeah, no, I'm glad that you gave me what the volts and amps I'm looking for, but I can't. This doesn't work with what I've got. So, thanks, but oh yeah, no, sorry. Bash, bash, bash. Still some. It's not gonna work. It's not working. Oh, gee, yeah, no. I wonder why. You need those circuits that'll work for that. That's all that is. But a 285 is a type of resonant frequency for a flow design. That's electrical flow. Right. So it's like it allows for it to go one way first, and then you can have it have a receiving on the other side, which will then just come back, couple back into the DC. Right. And that's kind of how AC works. Right. AC is basically two things, and one has like the little, I need more, electrical charge, blah, blah, whatever. Right. And then same thing on the other side. Right. but it kind of doesn't ever get to the other side. And it usually only stays to the side that it's going to charge or do whatever it's doing with, right? So that's effectively all that is. But it's like, well, no, this is different. This one is mostly a DC, but it's not really a DC because the moment it does that, it's like, oh yeah, no, it needs to then have like, and then it captures it, it goes through that wave, it hooks around, and then it skips forward backwards. But then there's now an internal electromagnetic pressure that builds up that I like to call it because it's a pressure wave that heads back towards the DC, making an AC system. But of course, it doesn't work the way that you would like it to. It needs an electrical circuit that works for that. You can't have a standard light bulb work that way because, of course, it's like, well, I'm only seeing like a DC, right? It's like, well, yeah, no, you're only going to see a DC because you're only receiving the sine wave heading in. That's how that works. That's it. End of all the explanations, I suppose, because it's like that's all it really is doing. You know what I mean? But it allows for the efficiency of a high voltage DC without needing high voltage, and it can pump way more current through it because it's like an AC system. So that's all it's for. But it's also how you have to set it up. So like when it first delivers, and then it has to, and then it's a whole fucking thing. And that circuit on the other side needs to know that it's only going to receive DC like that in a way that allows for it to still have the AC kind of field, but then that just sort of ends up being more like a flywheel or like a, the counterweight thing, right? So it's like it's technically just like a capacitor, so it runs through for a while, but that's a switch. It's a time delay switch effectively. You know what I mean? But, big question your background if you didn't know about time delay switches instead of capacitors. But that's what that is. Anyways, bye. All that.